The room was quiet as I sat on the edge of my bed, watching the sunlight play through the lace curtains. I'd spent the last few weeks here, at my aunt's house. Aunt May was gone now. She'd always been a quiet presence in my life, a woman with secrets I never fully understood, but who gave me a deep sense of peace whenever I was around her. Now, in the wake of her passing, the house felt like it was brimming with memories and mysteries she'd left behind, waiting to be discovered. My parents had sent me to help pack up her things. They trusted me to handle it, knowing she and I had been close. My aunt had been eccentric, to say the least. Her house was filled with vintage trinkets, crystal vases, velvet drapes, and an endless array of old books. She was always a bit mysterious, and I loved that about her. On the third day of sorting through her belongings, I came across a large wooden wardrobe tucked away in the far corner of her bedroom. It was ornate, with swirling carvings etched into its wood and brass handles that shone despite the dust settling over everything else. The wardrobe was something I'd seen many times before but had never dared to open. Aunt May used to say it was her special place, and as a child, I believed it was like something out of Narnia. Now, standing before it, curiosity got the better of me. I tugged at the handles, and with a creak, the doors swung open. The smell of lavender and something musky floated out, filling my nose with a familiar comfort. Inside, it was packed with clothes I never would have expected my aunt to own. I found dresses in every shade imaginable: silk, satin, lace, velvet, and even a few sequin numbers. There were wigs and scarves, feather boas, and high-heeled shoes in various sizes. My heart started pounding. These were not just ordinary clothes. They were beautiful, elaborate, and clearly cherished. I felt like I'd stumbled upon a secret my aunt had kept hidden from the rest of the world. But I couldn't shake the feeling that she wanted someone to find it. That she wanted me to find it. I reached for a soft pink dress made of flowing fabric. Holding it up to myself, I felt a strange sense of connection. It was as if Aunt May was with me, her gentle laugh and her encouraging smile. On impulse, I decided to try it on. Back in my room, I carefully slid the dress over my head. The soft material flowed over my shoulders, down my body, and settled perfectly at my hips. The feeling was exhilarating yet surreal. I looked in the mirror, stunned at the reflection staring back at me. It was me, yet somehow not. My heart raced with a blend of excitement and a touch of fear. There was an old vanity near the bed, its mirror slightly tarnished, but enough to give me a full view of myself. In the wardrobe, I'd seen makeup kits and brushes, perfectly arranged as if ready for use. I was no stranger to makeup. I'd experimented a bit here and there, but nothing like this. I took a deep breath, picking up a foundation brush. Slowly, I began to apply the makeup, remembering tips Aunt May had once given me in passing. Her words echoed in my head, gentle reminders about how to blend, how to accentuate the eyes, how to make your lips the perfect shade of red. I lost myself in the process, feeling as though she was guiding me. After what seemed like hours, I finally looked up and saw someone new staring back. The person in the mirror wasn't exactly my aunt, but there was an uncanny resemblance, a blend of both of us. And for the first time, I felt free. My heart was racing, yet there was a calmness too, a strange acceptance I couldn't put into words. I slipped on a pair of her heels. They were too big, but with a bit of tissue stuffed in the toes, they fit well enough. Standing there, fully transformed, I felt a surge of confidence unlike anything I'd experienced before. The room seemed to spin with possibilities. And then I saw the envelope on the vanity. It was addressed to me in Aunt May's familiar handwriting. My heart skipped as I picked it up and opened it. Dear Alex, if you're reading this, then you found my little secret, and I'm so glad. I always knew you would, and I always hoped you'd understand. Life is a funny thing. We go through it wearing all sorts of masks, hiding parts of ourselves because we're afraid of what the world will think. But here's the thing, my dear. You don't have to be afraid. You can be whoever you want to be, and you deserve to live freely. If you've found the wardrobe, it's because you're meant to. Enjoy these things. They are now yours to cherish. Be bold. Be yourself. With all my love, Aunt May. The letter shook me. I stood there, trembling, reading her words over and over. She had known. She had somehow known exactly what I would feel, what I would need. In that moment, I felt a deep sense of purpose. Aunt May had seen something in me long before I had seen it myself. She had created this space, left behind these clothes and this little slice of magic, all for me to discover. And I knew, without a doubt, that this wasn't just about clothes or makeup. It was about embracing who I was fully and unapologetically. The next few days, I continued exploring the wardrobe, trying on different outfits, playing with makeup, experimenting with wigs. I tried styles I never thought I'd wear and found joy in the way each outfit transformed me, bringing out parts of myself I hadn't known were there. I even dared to step outside, walking around her garden in one of her flowing dresses, feeling the sun on my skin and the breeze ruffling my hair. It was liberating, empowering. In the weeks that followed, I returned home, but I took Aunt May's letter and a few of her special pieces with me. They became my talismans, reminders of who I was and who I could be. I started building my own little wardrobe, adding pieces that felt like me, exploring and expanding my understanding of myself. Aunt May's gift was more than just clothes or makeup. She had given me permission to be myself. I found courage I didn't know I had, embracing parts of myself I'd kept hidden for too long. Her memory stayed with me, guiding me, encouraging me to be bold, just as she'd written. Now, every time I open my own wardrobe, I feel her presence, her gentle encouragement. I think she would be proud of who I'm becoming. And though she's gone, she's left me with a joy and freedom I never would have known without her. Thank you, Aunt May. You were more than an aunt. You were my inspiration, my guide, and in many ways, my savior. I'll carry your love and your lessons with me always. The days turned into weeks, and those weeks into months, as I found myself returning to Aunt May's memory more and more. Life went on, but I felt as if I'd been awakened. I had this new knowledge of myself, but also this uncharted journey of self-discovery. I started small, keeping Aunt May's letter in my pocket or tucked away in my bag. Whenever I felt lost, I'd reach for it, reading her words as if they were a mantra. Each sentence reminded me that I didn't need anyone's permission to be who I was. Gradually, I worked up the courage to experiment with makeup at home. In my room, I'd draw the blinds, grab a mirror, and practice until I could almost see her smile reflected back. It became a ritual. Each evening after work, I'd set aside some time for myself, trying out different styles, playing with colors, and watching as each change revealed a new side of me. It wasn't long before I realized that this was more than just an interest or a way to feel close to Aunt May. It was a part of me that had been lying dormant, waiting for the right moment to emerge. And the more I let it flourish, the more I felt at peace. One Saturday evening, as I was rummaging through my small but growing collection, I felt a pang of frustration. Despite everything I'd found in Aunt May's wardrobe, despite the pieces I'd added on my own, I was longing for something that felt even more me. It wasn't just about the clothes or the makeup. It was about finding a look that resonated with the person I saw on the inside. I grabbed my phone, searching online for cross-dressing communities and makeup tutorials, and I was surprised to find so many people on a similar journey. The stories I read mirrored my own, a mixture of discovery, joy, and sometimes the fear of acceptance. Slowly, I found myself part of these communities, absorbing advice, sharing tips, and even connecting with people who'd been on their journeys far longer than I had. One person in particular stood out. Her name was Eva, and she'd been transitioning for a few years. Her posts were always supportive and full of wisdom. She spoke about her journey with such authenticity that I reached out, sharing a bit about myself and Aunt May's story. To my surprise, she replied almost immediately, encouraging me and offering guidance. Over the following months, Eva became a friend and mentor, helping me understand everything from styling to navigating emotions that felt overwhelming at times. She taught me that this wasn't just about appearance. It was about embracing the woman I saw inside and letting her breathe. With her encouragement, I started venturing outside while dressed, small steps at first. A walk around the block in a loose sundress, or a drive to the outskirts of town where I could sit by the lake in peace, feeling the air on my skin. Each outing felt like a triumph, a tiny victory over the fear that had kept me confined for so long. But the real turning point came when Eva invited me to a small gathering of friends in the city. It was a gathering of people from the online community, and while part of me was terrified, another part was exhilarated. After weeks of deliberation, I accepted the invitation. The evening of the event, I stood in front of my mirror, applying makeup with a trembling hand. I chose a soft blue dress that reminded me of one Aunt May used to wear, slipping on a pair of low heels and layering on jewelry that felt just right. By the time I was ready, my heart was pounding, but I felt beautiful, truly beautiful, for the first time in my life. When I arrived at the venue, a cozy, dimly lit cafe that had been reserved for the gathering, I hesitated at the door, clutching my purse with white-knuckled fingers. Then, with a deep breath, I stepped inside. The room was filled with people, all of them dressed uniquely, vibrantly, and unapologetically. As I moved further in, Eva spotted me and waved, her smile as warm as I'd imagined. She pulled me into a hug, whispering, "I'm so proud of you." And in that moment, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. We spent hours talking, laughing, and sharing stories. I met people with journeys similar to mine, each of them at different stages, and each radiating a courage I could only aspire to. They shared their struggles, their triumphs, and their advice, reminding me that this journey was far from lonely. When the night ended, I felt a newfound confidence, a feeling that, perhaps, I was finally starting to belong. Over the following weeks, I continued meeting up with the group, forming bonds that made me feel like I'd found a second family. I grew bolder, experimenting with new outfits, embracing styles I once thought were out of reach. I even attended a makeup workshop Eva had recommended, learning tips that transformed the way I saw myself. My wardrobe expanded, filled with pieces that spoke to different sides of me: soft floral dresses, sleek blazers, daring skirts, and everything in between. Each outfit felt like another step closer to understanding myself, to peeling back layers that had held me back. One evening, I found myself sitting in my bedroom, gazing at Aunt May's letter once more. Her words had guided me this far, but there was one part of her legacy I hadn't yet explored: her love of performance. She used to be involved in small theater productions, and I'd always admired her ability to transform on stage, to become someone else entirely. I wanted to feel that same freedom. A local theater was holding auditions for a small production, and though my heart thudded with fear, I knew it was something I had to try. I signed up, practicing my lines in front of the mirror, hoping to channel Aunt May's grace and courage. On the day of the audition, I wore a simple, classic dress, my makeup subtle but polished. Stepping onto the stage, I took a deep breath, closing my eyes and letting myself embody the character. As I delivered my lines, I felt a rush of adrenaline, a thrill I hadn't expected. The world around me faded, and in that moment, I wasn't just performing. I was alive, connected to something larger than myself. To my astonishment, I was cast in a small role. It wasn't anything major, but it was enough. Rehearsals became a space of discovery, a place where I could step outside myself and explore other facets of my identity. The people I worked with became friends, accepting me without question. They didn't know the story of Aunt May or the journey I'd been on, but they saw me for who I was, and that was enough. Opening night was a whirlwind. I stood backstage, nerves churning, but as the lights dimmed and my cue came, I stepped forward, letting go of every fear. Aunt May's words echoed in my heart, her encouragement filling me with a confidence that carried me through each scene. When the final curtain fell, the applause felt like a testament not just to the performance, but to the journey that had brought me here. After the show, I met with my friends from the community who had come to support me. We celebrated, laughing and toasting to new beginnings. For the first time in my life, I felt truly whole, surrounded by people who saw and accepted me. Over time, I realized that Aunt May's legacy was more than the wardrobe, more than the clothes and makeup. She'd left me with the courage to find my own path, to embrace every part of myself. Her memory became a source of strength, a reminder that I didn't have to hide or conform. Months passed, and my life continued to blossom. I became more comfortable in my own skin, sharing my story with close friends and finding acceptance in places I hadn't expected. Aunt May's spirit remained a constant presence, her laughter and wisdom woven into every choice I made. On the anniversary of her passing, I returned to her house, standing in the room where it had all begun. The wardrobe still stood there, a silent guardian of her secrets and mine. I placed a single rose on the vanity, whispering a quiet thank you. She had given me more than just clothes or makeup. She'd given me the gift of freedom, a legacy of love, and the courage to become the person I was always meant to be. As I left the house, I felt her presence with me, a warmth that filled my heart. She was gone, but she had left me with a joy and peace that would stay with me always. And in that moment, I knew that I would carry her memory forward, living each day as a tribute to the woman who had taught me to be bold, to be brave, and most importantly, to be myself. Thank you so much for watching till now. It means the world to have you here. This community is all about empowering each other and celebrating the incredible journeys of everyone on their path to living authentically. If you're ever feeling lost or alone, remember you have a whole family here for you. Hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and let's keep inspiring each other, sending you all the love and strength in the world. Until next time, live your life by your rules.